Everything you ever wanted to know about a trust, but were afraid to ask.
Hopefully not everything. Oh my God. A couple of things. Let's get real.
We're about to have those questions answered with our friend and attorney, Hannah Bell.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
So you're going to buy a house. You've heard about this fancy grown-up thing called a trust.
Trust.
Should I put my house in a trust? Should I just have a plain old will? What is a trust? I don't know. Is this good for me? I don't have $1 billion. Do I need a trust? Tell us about estate planning with regards to a trust and how it might be applicable to someone or appealing.
Yeah, I think a trust is one of those things. It's sort of like the boogeyman. Ooh, there's a trust, and like, what's that? And you're supposed to already know, and you kind of feel stupid to ask. That's how I felt, and a lot of people I talked to initially are like, oh, I don't know. I think it's just for like super rich people who are like trust fund babies who never have to worry about money. Okay, but it can be like that, but for most people, it's not like that. All right. So I only know what a trust is because I took a class in law school called Trust and Estates with Dean Mather at St. Mary's. And one way to...
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Hi, Dean Mather. But anyway, so a trust is an option that's, first of all, not just for the wealthy. There are a couple key benefits to a trust. So I'm going to talk about those in a second, but let's just talk about what a trust is, okay, to give some context. So I want everybody to think about a trust like it's a wagon, okay? And you're pulling a wagon along. The trustee is the person who's in charge of this trust. They have fiduciary duties towards the stuff in the trust, and they're pulling this wagon. And if you make it a revocable living trust, so you can revoke it in life, you can put stuff in and out of the trust. A house you buy in the '09 with the real estate news, you can put it in. You can put different financial accounts in the trust. And then the trustee or a couple of trustees, co-trustees, usually if it's a husband and wife, they can put stuff in and out. They can disperse it to themselves as beneficiaries. So you can be both the trustee and the beneficiary. Okay, so you're like what's the point of that? Okay, it comes into play when one or both of the trustees is gone. Let's think if both of the trustees are gone. Okay, they're pulling a wagon that has their house and some money and things like that. Normally what you have to do once someone dies is you have to go do a probate at the court. Okay, everybody's heard of probate. Basically what that means is a court case about someone who died so you can move their stuff along. That's the most basic way to say it. Now, if any of you have dealt with a probate, you know that just saying the word does not convey how difficult it can be. If you have all your stuff together, it can be really not that big of a deal, but oftentimes people don't. It's very complicated and costly. And one of the keys is you can lose valuable time. So someone's passed away and they need access to all these accounts and the house and money that was in their spouse's name, but it's stuck because that spouse has died until you can start the probate process and get these papers called letters testamentary that sort of almost act like a passport for the executor to go around and do stuff. Okay, but can be a several multi-month process if it goes smoothly. So you lose that time when you're in the middle of grief of getting access to the accounts. So think about with this wagon, we're pulling this trust, the trustees, if they drop off, you have a backup trustee, comes right back on and keeps pulling that wagon. Automatically, all the rest of that stuff keeps going. You still have the accounts, you still have access to the property. You don't have to wait on these letters to make everything happen, right? So you can, people say avoid probate. I'm gonna be more honest than that, minimize probate. You usually still probate, because what you do is you do this what's called a pour over will. The will points all your stuff into the trust. So you still need to go to the court and do something about this, okay? But basically, you pull along the wagon and you can have different beneficiaries, but things keep moving forward, okay? That's one of the benefits of having a trust, is that sort of ease in the death and avoiding a lot of the probate heartache. Another really important thing for real estate investors and people with properties in different states, this is really important because if you have real property in a state other than Texas, you would have to probate that property, that will, in each of the jurisdictions, the different states where you have the property. But if it's all in the trust, remember the wagon just keeps going. So especially for any of your clients who have properties outside of Texas, we want to make sure that they do a trust and put their
everything's
stuff
in the
it.
wagon.
Yeah. The other thing, the third benefit of trusts are that they are private. So when you do a probate, you have to list all of your stuff on this list, okay? Inventory and appraisement sort of thing. And there's some complications to that. But anyway, generally speaking, it's not private. So whatever stuff you've got, who you left it to, a copy of the will of who's getting what, that's going to be out there for God and everybody to see in the court document. Not that anybody goes and really pulls this, but they could. So the terms of a trust are private. Who it's left to, who does what it can be used for. So there's a privacy component as well that would make it beneficial for people to do that. And so I think people who are considering those options, or perhaps they are business owners and they have kind of assets all over the place and they want to make sure that all of that passes smoothly upon their death, putting it into a trust is often the best option for them. Another group of people, blended families, and I am a member of a blended family. I'm divorced and remarried, and we have a child together, but I have 3 children from my previous marriage. I'm a good candidate for a trust because it's complicated of where the stuff is going to go, and when you have ex-spouses involved, you need to plan around that. And a trust is the vehicle in which to accomplish sort of those multi-layers of complexity in a blended family also.
Wow. Well, I like the visual of the wagon, and certainly it's applicable on many levels. So thank you for that explanation, and it's a great vehicle for conserving your legacy and helping your loved ones continue on. And thank you for your expertise.
Yeah, well, and I think, look, a good time to consider this. Again, we had talked earlier about when you're considering buying a piece of real estate with the Muses, okay, this is a good time to think, should I have a trust? Should I purchase this and take title in the trust? It's a good time to ask those questions, because when you're pulling out the file cabinet, you're getting all your documents together for the mortgage or whatever anyway, you've already done the hard part of doing a trust, okay? So I suggest that if you're thinking of buying some real estate, it's a good time to take a moment and assess, do I have this well planned out? I'm about to spend, $1 million on a house.
Or even if you're going to spend $200,000 or $300,000.
If you're going to spend $300,000 on a house, but you're a blended family and you want to make this smooth and easy because you helped with your grandmama's probate and it was a mess and you don't want that to happen for your family, you need to be thinking about it. But it's like, whatever you spend on a house, I didn't mean it to be like it has to be $1 million house, but whatever you spend, it's a significant investment for every family. And we want to make sure that that is protected. If you're going to go through all of that, why would you just leave it exposed? And maybe a trust is the option. Maybe you don't need that. Like, don't let every lawyer explain that in every situation you need a trust. But I would imagine that more often than not, people who might be watching this video, it would be a good option for you and your family.
If you have any questions about purchasing real estate inside of a trust, we'd love to help you and connect you with Hannah Bell.